Greetings and salutations. Ben here. Welcome to NasCanucks, your auto racing podcast live here on the YouTubes with a Canadian spin. I've got co-host Doug in the house. We've got news, we have notes, we have race coverage, we have rumors, we have innuendos, and please like and subscribe.
And facts. We have facts that I had. If you look back a couple of previous shows, all came to fruition.
Yep. Colin Kreskin, folks. Yep. So, trucks back in action for the first time in like 4 weeks, it seems, I think. Hey, Charles. Hey, Terry. Hey, random person that's lurking.
And
3 people watching.
Everybody was like, oh, we haven't raced in like 4 weeks. Let's just all go nuts.
Yep. Yeah, it's like they all forgot how to drive.
Yeah.
So, big field of the trucks. They headed out onto track. Martinsville, we should mention. The paperclip. Truck Saturday afternoon. Nice Saturday afternoon race. I'm just trying to think. News and notes of going into the final 4 for all 3 series. So we had 8 drivers looking for 4 spots. Was anybody guaranteed into the next round?
I think the trucks had somebody.
Maybe Nemechek based on points.
No, it wasn't Nemechek.
Then nobody, because he would have
been. It's been so long, so I can't remember the winner of the first race of the last round.
Well, I think some of it was like similar to we had in Xfinity, a lot of non-playoff drivers winning races this month.
Yeah.
So, Nemechek, even with issues, was able to maintain enough to point his way into the next round. We didn't figure that wouldn't happen.
I think it was by like 4 points.
Yeah, it was getting a little close there, similar to that caution with about 30 or so laps left in the Cup race, where there was a 3-way tie with that last spot. More on that later. So a bunch of trucks, switching around, trading leads, this, that, and the other thing. I'm trying to think.
What I noticed is, and they talked about it on some of the social media and then some of the radio as well too, was that it seemed like it was a lot of the back marker trucks that were just like, I don't care what's going on, I'm just going to start taking people out.
Yeah.
Like Corey Roper's name was mentioned a few times. It's just is it because it's the end of the season you want to get your name mentioned? But it was just a lot of unnecessary stuff. Yeah.
And all 3 series, a good, let's say, good spread between the top speed and the slowest car out there or truck. A lot of speed difference. So there's a lot of traffic on a narrow track where you could be coming up as the leader to lap 2 guys, but they're running for position. So guess what? They don't need to get out of the way.
No.
So.
No,
and don't be surprised if a truck that could be down laps with fresher tires might just bump you out of the way to get their lap back. That could happen.
Well, and we mentioned John Hunter, so I don't know if we want to go there now or not, but just that wreck with him.
Yeah.
So coming out of what, 2 was it?
I think so.
I think it was 2. Coming out of 2, he was behind Austin Wayne Self. Got Austin Wayne Self a little loose.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Wayne Self, if I remember correctly, was a lap down car. Yeah,
more likely,
and a lap down truck. Yeah, so and he was battling someone else, and they were in John Hunter's way, and so John Hunter got in the back of him. He got a little loose. Austin Wayne Self got a little loose again. John Hunter went low, and I'm gonna say John Hunter's side door was probably at his front quarter panel of Austin Wayne Self going in the turn.
Yep.
And Austin Wayne came down, hooked him in the right rear, right? Spun John Hunter up in the wall. John Hunter's done for the day.
Yep.
Then listening to Austin Wayne Self afterwards,
he
was like, oh, well, he got me loose. And, I'm just, if people are going to race me that way, then I'm going to do it back. And
I had no problem with it.
Well, he was kind of going all off.
Yeah.
flash to afterwards with social media and whatever, and everyone kind of getting on him for hooking a guy that's in the
title
that's
hunt.
going for the championship.
Sure, and you're not. Because
then,
it would be different if it's two playoff drivers getting into each other.
Yes.
Because then it's just hard racing.
Yes. Yeah. This is a lapper, and you know, and we've talked about the last couple weeks, Austin Dillon getting into Ryan Blaney, just, you know, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So cue social media going after Austin himself, and then he goes and has another interview or somewhere, I don't know if he'd done his Twitter or somewhere, and I didn't know that it was John Hunter. If I would have known it was him, I wouldn't have hooked him. It was, you know, it's just I didn't know it was him. Right. And it's like some other people have said, you know, if you didn't know it was him, and with how out front he got ahead of you, then you need a new crew chief and a new spotter, because they were probably telling you who it was.
Not to mention, I think it's all rather a moot point, because John Hunter can't be upset, because he who lives by the bumper can die by the bumper, as far as I'm concerned. If you have no problem bumping people out of the way, then guess what? You're going to get bumped. Yeah, it wasn't a bump and a run on the rear bumper. It was a hook. But guess what? You weren't making that corner. You were going to use him up anyways. Had you stayed inside, John Hunter Nemechek, driving straight into a corner with no arc, you would have washed up the track or had to slow down so much he would have scooted around your outside anyways. Yeah, so for sure. I don't know what you were thinking. Oh, I'm just going to drive down it. No, it's not Talladega where you're hugging the double yellow line, and I'm going to scoot up in front of somebody.
He was going to use the 8 wheels turn better than 4.
He was, exactly. We know what he was about to do, and you know, so shut up, Buttercup, because it ain't happening. So big whoop-de-doo. Unfortunately, Sheldon Creed got into some bumpity bumps near the end of the race, so he ended up missing the cutoff.
Yeah. So he got into it with Matt Crafton.
Right.
And I know after the race, you seen on TV him and Matt Crafton going at it pretty hard.
And what is it about with crew members that all of a sudden they think they got a badge and they got to be the most aggressive security mall cop in the world? Oh, get out of here. You can't talk to my driver because I'm twice the size of you. You know what? At that point, as soon as you do that to another team's driver, that driver's team, the entire team, has the right to grab you, put you in a headlock, and just fill you. I'm sorry. Leave it to the driver. If the drivers lay hands on each other, fine. Crew member lays hands on a driver. Now we're into a gang rumble, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Which I'd love to see. Wouldn't that be awesome? Like hockey style, Doug? You know, 7 teams just dropping the gloves and gas man on gas man, tire changer on tire changer. So it keeps the heights and weights equal.
I think they tried that at Phoenix a couple years ago, but Gordon's crew ran away.
Well, they would. Well, they are the Rainbow Warriors.
Yes. So then with Creed and Crafton, so we seen them go at it. Well, not go at it. They had that heated conversation, which Sheldon Creed looked like he was very, very upset with Crafton, and Crafton was calmly telling him what's what. Cue then till later on, listening to Sheldon come on with Claire Lang, and Sheldon had a very softer tune after talking with Matt Crafton.
Yeah, not to mention when Crafton's just like, no, I got into Rhodes who got into you. Rhodes was the instigator in all that. He was always around. Both instances. Well, you got into me, and then I got into you. Yeah, but Rhodes was involved in all that. Rhodes pushed me into you. Well, Rhodes pushed me into you. Well, maybe we both need to go down and talk to Ben Rhodes.
Yeah.
Who did make the playoffs, didn't he? He made the Final Four, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. So Creed then became, Matt and I talked. Matt and I are good friends, and and we kind of straightened everything out. No, he straightened you out. Yeah. And we're all good. And actually, that's Matt walking by right now. He was all jovial and nice. But
like come on, I love it when they they'll take someone like a Matt Crafton or a Justin Allgaier. A veteran of a quote-unquote lower series. And, the guy always drives like that. No, he's been in the sport for 20 years. If he always drove like that, he wouldn't be in the sport. Yeah. That's like, you're literally calling out one of the elder statesmen of your division. So you're like, what? Give your head a shake. Come on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Rhodes advanced. Hunter Nemechek, advanced.
The
Ben,
race winner.
Zane Smith.
That'd be it. Advanced.
Raced its
as
way
well
in.
as Matt Crafton.
Matt
Advanced.
Crafton, right. Yeah, unfortunately, Stuart Friesen had a chance. He had to win. He was right there at the end, and he tried stuff. And he was the first one. He's like, yeah, I ran out of talent coming out of 4.
Yeah.
I was like,
Gillen leaned on him. Gillen leaned on him. He leaned on Gillen. He hooked, he went in the wall, and then he ended up
and I don't know, like, if you saw that video, where Friesen was outside of his truck, like back in the garage area, and you see some Yahoo wearing a fleece sweater and a clipboard. I figured that had to be Gilliland Sr.
Yeah, I'm not sure,
because the guy wasn't in a crew uniform. So that told me owner, manager of some kind type, and he's just like, and you can see Friesen's just like smiling, like, what? I didn't do a thing that you or your kid ever did. I'm assuming it was David Gilliland. That's it.
So then in talking about the Final Four being Smith, Crafton, Nemechek, and Crafton, Nemechek, Rhodes. That's it. There's one name that's not there. And we talked about him a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Running his mouth.
Right.
About how fast he is and how great he is. And it came back to bite him in the ass because I said at the time, don't poke the bear because you're going to get bit, burnt, whatever. Right. And that would be Mr. Sheldon Creed with his, the 4 team knows who the fastest truck is. Guess what? The 4 team also knows who's going for a championship in Phoenix.
Yeah, and the 4 team also was able to finish last and still advance.
Yes. Yeah. So
or I should say basically last, because there could have been a starting park prior to it.
Yeah.
But so there we go. Moving on into the Xfinity Series that was running later Saturday at Martinsville.
Which I could say would be probably one of the cleanest races of the weekend.
Wow. Yep.
With how many guys were actually, had to win to get in or were right there.
How about, theme starting in that race and continuing through Sunday. How many passes on the outside did we see at Martinsville?
Yep.
Like, there had to be a record number of outside passes. And it wasn't like because I got 50 lap fresher tires or anything like that. So, going to Xfinity race. Once again, Austin Cindric, essentially a non-factor in the race, but he was doing the smart thing. He's like, hey, I need to finish like 4th here and 5th in this stage and whatever. And he did all of that and then some. And I will say kind of the story throughout the day was Noah Gragson doing his best interpretation. I don't know if he was dressed up as Chip or Dale Chipmunks for the series because he's jowls. He's all jowls and mullet now, and they always show up his little picture where he's at least 30 pounds lighter with a brush cut from the start of the season.
Yeah.
He was there. One of his teammates, interesting enough, paint scheme by John 5. Very cool, I noticed. I think it was Annette might have had the John 5 sponsorship.
I think so.
Because the car didn't finish the race. I remember that.
No. Yeah, that would be Mr. Annette. Yeah,
Gregson up back, he did have one of the cars to beat. The 8 car was competitive again with Sam Mayer in there. What I didn't like, and we discussed it, was we had a lot of restarts towards the end of the race, and the booth could not say it enough how, Gregson put out a photo with the snowplow, or as Junior called it, a shovel on the front of his car. No, it's not a shovel. It's a plow blade.
Yeah.
You guys farm down there. It's a farm blade. It's a blade. Yep. That's the way it works. It's not a shovel. If it was a shovel, the Canuck would have had it on the front. He's like, I'll do whatever it takes to win. And they were talking him up like he was a second coming of Dale Earnhardt. Well, he's got a history of aggressive driving and he'll do anything. He'll take somebody out, blah, 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 blah. It was like, well, first of all, we haven't seen that in a while because Gregson had his coming to Jesus moment earlier this season, which they also pointed out how he's mending his ways. So I'm like, well, is he mending his ways or is he the dirtiest driver out there? Which when someone calls you the second coming of Earnhardt, they're calling you a dirty driver. Not aggressive, not intimidating, all these little catchphrases that the super fanboys give. Earnhardt was a dirty driver. Gragson, dirty driver. However, much to our chagrin, Gragson ran probably one of the cleanest races of his life.
Do you know what?
With multiple opportunities to take out, because I think he was running Harrison Burton too.
Yeah.
Who was also running for, needed a win. If ever there's a chance for taking somebody out.
Look at the history with him and Hemrick.
The history of him and Hemrick, the history with him and Burton.
Yeah.
All three drivers up at the front. I think he got into fist fights with both of them this year, or attempted fist fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he ran it clean. Gragson wins his way in.
Yeah. And and really, and as I believe it was Dave Moody that said, like each one of those guys could have had the shovel or the blade in front and just plowed through the field to get their way in. But nobody did. Like Allgaier had that chance with a bunch of lap cars in front of him.
Doug,
he didn't take it.
I don't know if I could have competed in a race weekend like that, because when you're running 8th and there's that guy that you're running the points, all you have to do is nudge him. He's going to drop back 10 spots and I'm in. And nobody did that throughout the race. Or, hey, I have an opportunity to put that guy in the wall to guarantee my way in. Everybody was trying to win or be clean getting into the next round. They didn't want any bad karma hanging over them. So Gragson wins the race. We thought, he's going to climb the fence because he's taken that on, because apparently he's the first person to ever climb a fence. But I will say his one fan in the crowd shot a cold snack through the fence. I have no problem with the guy shotgunning a beer to celebrate a win. Although, one, you can't drink alcohol on television. That's a rule. You can't do that. That's why all the beer commercials, they're drinking near beer. Big secret. 2, I was really hoping he'd cut his mouth. I've never seen a guy bite into a beer can to do a shotgun, which shows how shitty those beer cans are in the U.S. That you can bite into a beer can and not cut your mouth open. Dang it. I really was hoping for that. But, he shotgunned a beer. I was like, okay. And it wasn't one of those White Claws or something like that. It looked like possibly it was a Bud Light. It's blue. Could have been a Labatt's Blue. Who knows? Could have been a Canuck. Could have been. And he didn't do his, I'm going to just look at the horizon while I do my interview and stuff. Like, he's showing that humility.
I'm just thinking that he's usually doing that. He's not really looking around at the horizon. He's usually raced somebody dirty, and he's looking to see who's going to jump at him.
You're right on that. Yeah, because we can have a Harvick Spider-Man situation at any time.
Yeah. Or the way the Hemrick kind of got him in that interview, because he's been kind of doing that since about then. So maybe he's just kind of doing the look around to see who's there. And
Hemrick's interview too. The way you could tell, I'm pretty sure it wasn't his decision to start on the inside row. He kept saying, well, we had to make the right call. We had to take the point. We had. It sounds like he was saying, I want to go up on the outside row. I want to go for this win. And his spotter and his crew chief are going, no, team orders, blah, blah, blah. Which kind of sucked. But hey, Hemrick, you made her through. Well, you didn't finish second for the 11th time. So you're still tied with Dale Jarrett for most second place finishes without a win.
But still, I'm thinking here, we've seen Hemrick have so many chances to win.
Yes.
So many chances to win. So I the thought then came to my head, like, okay, still, you're in Martinsville, you're on the inside. You should have been able to just drive away from him.
Yeah.
So, nothing against Noah for that great pass on the outside and the racing clean, but did Noah win, or did Hemrick give that race away again?
Well, Hemrick restarted third. It was Burton, I think, on the pole.
No, because Burton had already been taken out by.
Oh, okay.
So it was Hemrick, because Hemrick was leading on that last caution.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So Hemrick was on the inside pole there. So you're on the front row on the inside of Martinsville, dude. You got to mash the gas and go.
Yeah, just use the 8 wheels to turn. Use up Gragson.
Right.
You're on the inside.
So I got to ask, was that more of him getting the yips? Was as much as we hate to say it,
wheel hopping into one that he actually went in a little too conservative.
Was Noah right a few weeks ago when he said that Hemrick doesn't know how to win at this level?
You know, a broken clock is right twice a day, even a grandfather clock.
Yeah. So
I had to do it. Yeah, so that moves us into Sunday, where we had, again, 8 drivers looking for 4 spots, which it took me about near the end of the Xfinity race. I'm like, wait, there's only 1 race weekend left? And here I was complaining when we did next year's schedule, how it ended. I did this whole rant on, what, it's ending so early? And then I realized, well, apparently it's ending early this year, too, because we used to run an extra couple weeks.
Yeah.
NASCAR.
Well, yeah, they went no breaks here. We've been going like crazy here.
Which, you know what, Doug? We don't need off weekends anymore. Off weekends used to be used to prepare new race parts. Nope, not allowed to do that anymore. Or test. Off weekends were test weekend. Nope, can't do that anymore. Right. Oh, how about you can't do squat to the cars. So you might as well just race every weekend, as far as I'm concerned. Why don't you just run 35 weeks straight? Mm-hmm. Because there's no valid reason to take. Oh, Mother's Day. Get out, Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. Buy her a car. You're all rich. She'll be happy. Oh, you didn't make it over for brunch. Yeah, but I bought you a car. See, that works.
Yeah.
You know. So, Easter weekend needed off. Why? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's my rant on that. So, getting into Sunday, it was interesting. At first, I was like, well, it's done, Doug. It's at best 5 cars running for 4 spots, because we had 2 of the cars 50, 60 points out as soon as they dropped the green flag. Then all it takes is a little shuffle.
Well, no, it was just, sorry, 2 cars. Oh, no. Because because we had, Logano was the only one that was that far back.
Blaney was pretty far back to start.
No, Blaney was only like a point. Truex was 3 points. Keselowski was 6 points.
Only because Hamlin had to go to the back.
Yes.
Yeah, it would have looked real boring had Hamlin not gone to the back. Conspiracy theory. Excuse me. Yep. Which, somebody else was at the back too, and I can't remember. But Chase Elliott.
No, not Chase Elliott.
What the hell's Chase done? Lately. So, Brad Keselowski, holy crap! Like, he's pulling a Harvick. In years past, like, I'm just going to run 6th all day, and you know what? I'm in a good position running 6th, type thing.
Well, he's still, like we talked about it a few weeks ago, he's the one guy that in this final playoffs, he hasn't made a misstep.
Nope. Nope. And it's not like the Penske cars are dominant. Clearly Blaney has the best equipment, apparently, because he's doing twice of what the other 2 were doing. I like to drive competitively. Well, you're barely doing that, Joey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was interesting as guys were, and again, I mentioned it to you last night. It used to be you could get publicly a PDF of the NASCAR rulebook, and I'd really like to see it, because why guys aren't hogging out those wheel wells bigger on the short tracks like we used to do. It used to be you had smaller wheel wells at the super speedways, barely big enough to pull the tire up. Remember, they used to curl around the bottom on the wheel wells.
Yeah.
Which, because they would have problems. They jack up the car and they can't get the wheel out because the skirt's tucked in so much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, well, again, anybody that touches another car, all of a sudden we're cutting down tires the last few weeks. For whatever reason, cutting down tires, except for
one
with the cheated up body and extra hard tires.
Well, no, it's just that and was it Letarte that said it? Is that the super speedways, they have to have more framing in the car, so that's what usually cuts down the tire. This is just carbon fiber that just rubs up against the tire, so it's not actually cutting it. It's just getting a little bit of a rub, but still.
Yeah, whatever. I did notice, too, on the Xfinity cars, they're running like a shark fin, but it's clear. And it was all of a sudden the light caught it one way. I'm like, how long have they been running those for? Which I love the idea of those clear, like I said, because you don't notice it unless it's a really up-close shot. But, anywho's, So getting back into the Larson up front somewhat, and back and up front. He'll tell
Then
you.
he had the pit road speeding penalty, and then we kind of didn't see him again.
You know, a few people got nailed in that same section all of a sudden.
Hamlin got nailed.
Yep. Well, didn't Chicken Shit Elliott get nailed on that? That's how he ended up in the back one time?
I think so.
Which usually then turns into the Chase Elliott broadcast, watching him come up through the field.
Yeah.
And I understand there's multiple racing and they do the multiple windows, but I do not need to see 4 battles going on at once. That's just too confusing.
Mm-hmm.
2? Yeah, it's okay. 4? No, don't need it. Thank God I got a 55-inch TV. Christ. What's going on? So, yeah. So that came down to, it was the dirtiest race of the weekend. That's for sure. Because the other guys drove so clean. But a lot of rubbing, a lot more outside passes again that we saw. Teams all ran out of tires, which kind of surprised me. For a tire that doesn't fall off that much, I don't know why they were changing them every 20 laps, but whatever. I'm not the crew chief. I'm not the morons at NASCAR that limit the amount of tires you can run in a weekend. Oh, it's for cost cutting, to get the non-charter teams more competitive. An extra set of tires ain't going to do that. It ain't going to be the difference. These guys don't change tires every pit stop anyways at the back. We know. We've listened to Morgan Shepherd's radio back in the day when he would say, give me a new right front. So, stuff like that. So, shut up, NASCAR. Why are you building cars out of exotic materials then? We want to cut costs down. Why is half the car carbon fiber then? Why? Yeah, I'm a little ranty today. So that second cup of coffee kicked right in. So who ended up winning the race? Alex Bowman.
Because he punted Denny out of the way
with several laps to go.
Yes.
Because that was with like 20 laps to go. Oh, no, that's right. Bowman did the bump and run on Denny, then moved out of the way to give him the position back.
Yeah, but I don't think Denny ever really came back up though after that bump and run.
That's his choice. He was given the opportunity.
Well, because Denny spun out on that.
No, Denny spun out the next time. There was the first one where it bumped. Denny got there, and then
I thought he spun him.
Denny didn't have the talent or the grip to pull out from the inside and take the lead back. So Bowman said, fine, I'll take the lead then. And then he got it back, and then they got taken out again. But I wasn't even sure if Bowman took him out the second time or not.
I think
because Denny's absolute pissed offedness that we'd seen post-race, which was Alex stopped to do a burnout and Denny nudged him. Then Alex turned around and was like, okay, I'll just do the burnout this way. And Denny put the nose right up the car, and Denny's team's on the radio like, big picture, big picture, big picture. Danger, Will Rogers, danger. Don't do this. You are about to do something very stupid that's going to cost you points and money. And he's like, I don't care. The guy took me out. And that's what I loved about, Danny's, this guy, there's 3 competitive cars, Hendrick and an anchor, and clearly we know who the anchor is, blah, blah, blah. Even though the 48 has 1 more races this year than the 11. I just want to throw that out there.
But the 48, though, has, and we kind of talked with this, the 48, yes, the 48 has 4 wins. What about the other 31 races? Where has he finished?
Exactly.
Back of the bus.
Exactly.
So he's lucked out 4 times, and 31 other times it's like, are you on the track, Alex Bowman?
But, Bowman's interview reminded me a lot of a Harvick type thing, because you could tell he was thinking before he responded, and then he did the whole, I nudged him out of the way. I also gave him the position back. Who does that? I'm like, exactly, who does that? And so I would have really liked to have seen that conversation post-race between the two of them. That would have been cool. And other than that, unfortunately, Blaney got taken out, so he missed the cut. Apparently, Martin Truex is the only guy that can dent up both sides of the car, have smoke flying out everywhere, does not cut a tire, doesn't even pit or anything. He's just, screw it, let's go, let's give her. And he had overheating issues. Like all of a
Yep.
sudden the car starts overheating for no
Oh,
reason. Nothing on the
dude,
front. He didn't bump
if
anybody.
there's anyone out there who can help with putting down new laminate in my living room, hey, hop over here because I got a nice walking trail in my living room right now. After that race,
I bet you do. I thought it was all over for him, but
nope. Oh, so did I. I was like, oh, man. But yeah, nope.
Martins was able to creep in for that fourth.
Well, what helped him out was on that last restart. Was it everyone took the bottom or everyone took the top?
Everyone took the bottom, and he went from 8th place to 4th.
Exactly. Yeah, like that put him right in it there,
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I went from
showed that you can punch a hole in the right front of your car and it improves performance. And even Dale Jr. said, "I've done that a few times. I've knocked a hole in it. Oh, it handled way better." Like, I love you, Junior. You don't give a rat's ass. Steve Letart's like, "Well, even on a small track like Martinsville, aero is important." And then Dale turns around, "Aero doesn't mean shit." So that was good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So on that, but Tyler Reddick was up there again this week. The 24. I'm pointing those guys out because there's some future.
Who's that?
There.
The what
I'm not
number?
saying that. Oh, that's the future of our sport. But those are two guys that are going to give Larson a headache.
Reddick and Byron.
Yeah. So the 4 cars in was what? Kyle Larson, based on 2 wins.
I don't know from listening to the NASCAR radio since Sunday night. There's only Hendrick Motorsports in the final 4.
Oh, yeah, and then we got
Chicken
Shit Elliott
because they have 2 cars in the final 4.
Oh yeah, let's go on that. So people are ranting because 2 of the 4 cars in the final 4 are Hendrick cars. When based on, let's be honest, a cut tire, not even multiple, but a cut tire in the points for flip around, we could have easily had 2 Penske cars because we did have both Blaney and Logano leading late in the race. So that could have been a possibility. Keselowski could have pointed his way in, so he would have been the second Penske car.
Yep.
We could have had 2 Gibbs cars with Truex and Hamlin.
We do have 2 Gibbs cars with Truex and Hamlin.
Okay, well, there we are. What was I thinking? I thought one of the Penskes made it in.
No.
Oh, really? Sweet.
It's 2 Hendrick against 2 Gibbs cars.
I guess because
everyone's talking about how all these guys are these Hendrick guys. They're so dominant at Phoenix.
Are they?
Who won the spring race in Phoenix?
I didn't think Hendrick cars have been dominant at Phoenix since Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon were driving for them.
Who won the spring race at Phoenix this year?
I don't know.
The 19.
Oh, okay. The same guy who won the spring race at Martinsville.
Yes.
Well, there we are.
Which just what happens when you win the spring race at Phoenix, you make the final 4.
Oh.
Just like on even numbered years, you don't make the final 4. Like I said, Logano wasn't going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't.
Yeah, you predicted that. Yep. Saw that.
So I said Creed with his right in the mouth wasn't going to make the final 4.
Right.
Logano wasn't going to make the 4. Truex was going to make the final 4.
Yep. So Kyle Busch did not make the final 4. And, he chalked it. He says, they're like, "Oh, you didn't get enough points today." He goes, "No, I didn't get enough points last week."
Yeah.
So there's that.
And I'm still, we'll get to that a bit more of that in the big news that dropped last night.
All right. Yeah, because we're already a bit over on time. I want a prediction from you. Prediction for winner of each 3 series this weekend. Who do you think's going to win the title?
Well, Truck Series.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to go with. I think it's going to be John Hunter.
I think so.
I think it's going to be Nemechek.
I think so too.
Xfinity Series. I don't know. It's.
I have a feeling it's going to be Cindric.
The mind says Cindric or Gregson. is what I'm thinking.
Branson doesn't win it.
Yeah, I know.
God.
I know. Who's the other one? It's AJ. Why not
Dinger? Yeah, let's go Dinger.
Dinger, yeah.
Yeah.
One of those three. I think Henrik's
It's
going to
not
get
a clear cut on that one. That's the most competitive, I think. And for Cup, are you picking your boy?
I'll be dumb not to. The winner of the spring race is going to win the fall race, which is going to win the championship.
I'm going to go with Larson because he seems to win 2 out of every 3 rounds. So,
but the definitive leader, who the money guy, the money, all the money's on in the Cup Series, does not win the final race in NASCAR.
However,
didn't happen last year.
Larson used Sunday's race in Martinsville as a test session for Phoenix. No other driver was out there doing that.
I don't know. I still think
it's going to be a good race.
Because Truex dominated that Phoenix race. They didn't have to work on a setup.
Yeah. On the other hand, to quote Steve Letarte, you can show up, win a race, go back to the track with the same setup, and not be competitive.
But the weather, there's not as much of a weather swing in Phoenix.
What weather swing? It's Phoenix. It's a desert.
Exactly. Because you can use this weekend
in hot and dry or cool and dry.
You can use Martinsville as a setup weekend for Phoenix.
Although
you ain't gonna be wearing that big of a coat. You're not gonna be wearing that big of a coat at Phoenix.
Yeah, I do remember there being a rain out at Phoenix, and they coming on the air go like, "Yes, it's raining at Phoenix. Yes. Do not adjust your set." So let's get into news and notes. I forgot to mention last week. Carson Ware, son of Rick Ware, who owns Rick Ware Racing. Carson Ware has been suspended by NASCAR because apparently there's a domestic situation of some kind. And yeah. I'm not one to judge people on appearances, but how many corporate sponsors can you attract with multiple face tattoos? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, really? Like, you look nothing like your brother, literally. His brother's clean cut and blah, blah, blah. That corporate image, whatever. But, Carson Ware suspended by NASCAR until further notice. That gets us into news and notes. Looking into
Truck Series, only one little thing. Dean Thompson will be running full-time for Nice. Yep. He's run a couple of truck races for them already.
He has.
Xfinity Series, RCR has announced their second driver in the lineup for next year. Austin Hill goes from the Truck Series up to the RCR car.
Yep. Hey, Michael.
For that there. And then a friend of yours, Facebook friend of yours that you've talked to a bit, I think, Andy Lally will be driving 6 races for Alpha Prime Racing next year. He'll be doing the 6 road course races.
Right. Then there's some Cup news out of Martinsville.
The big news dropping last night, probably about around 8 o'clock. I think it dropped 9 o'clock.
7:30. Because you texted me as I was setting up for my show on my
That's right. Channel. Yes. Kyle Busch.
Yep.
Before the start of the 2022 season, because of something that was said post-race, we'll have to go through sensitivity training.
I'm guessing not post-race interview, but post-race said something in the garage area or...
No, I've heard it was something he said in an interview.
And, must be radio then, because I don't recall anything in the TV interview that was...
He threw an F-bomb, but then so did Denny.
That's right. I forgot about Denny actually enunciating. There's 3 good cars, and he's fucking terrible.
Kyle did say that kind of, and he did lower his voice even when he said it. He was like, it was almost like he was gonna say, he's like, oh crap, I shouldn't say this, and then he said it, but just kind of like, he kind of had the hand over the mouth, but whatever. So, Kyle Busch, so they're gonna let him race this weekend.
Yeah.
And then before he can race again next year, has to go through the
And
sensitivity
this
training.
is a team decision, not a NASCAR decision, is it?
I believe it is a NASCAR decision.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, because we know Gibbs Racing has a history of sending drivers to sensitivity training, right?
Well, and here's my thing with that, and everyone can go and have their own opinion. I don't care. I want my driver to be like that. I want my driver to be like Denny and be pissed off after the race. I want my driver to be like Kyle and be pissed off. People talk about Truex being the whiner after he loses. Well, you know what? He's pissed off. He's complaining about the guy who did something to him. I don't want my driver I like to settle for second place. Don't go in the race and just like, oh, we had a good day. We had a good points day. No, win the effing race.
Yeah.
I want to win.
Yeah. The only time I don't mind, the good points day reference is we had a 28th or a 20th place car and we managed to finish 8th. That's a good points day. Fine. But when you're running for the lead and you're like, yeah, we finished second. That was a good point. No.
No. And it's like, especially I think the Gibbs guys are probably the most scrutinized for that.
Because that's from the top down internally as well as externally.
Because
coach doesn't put up with a lot of BS. He doesn't mind that anger, like you say, what Kyle shows or Denny shows being pissed off for not winning. He likes that. That's competitive anger. What he doesn't like is anger, or hate of any kind.
Yeah.
Anyone that's spent any time around Coach Gibbs knows this. We know peripherally, I'll say, because we haven't had a chance to spend any direct time around Coach, but we've spent a lot of time around a lot of people that have spent a lot of time around Coach. Basically.
And the thing is, with them, I think the Gibbs team is like I said, scrutinized the most is when they go and they have that microphone shoved in. They're like, you want no comment? I'm not saying anything. I'm just going to walk away. Oh, they're a whiner. He's a crybaby because he doesn't want to talk after the race. Then when he talks, oh, he's just a whiner and a crybaby because he's just complaining because of what happened. Well, you know what? You can't have it both ways.
Speaking of which, I forgot a rant from Saturday. It's a rant for you, Ty Gibbs. I used to like you. I don't like you anymore. Why? Nobody fucking brake checks somebody on the middle of a straightaway and then claim, oh, the guy gassed me. What you mean by guy gassing you is you get a little loose coming out of a corner. The guy behind you has more grip, and he basically does a bump and run coming out of the corner. That's gassing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't Talladega where the closing speed from the draft is such that you're bump drafting a guy. You obviously hit the brakes in the middle of the straightaway, damn near at the start-finish line, and guy runs in the back of you, and you claim, what are you trying to do? Get your ambulance chaser lawyer for a whiplash settlement? Is that what you're looking for? You accepted no responsibility. You disappeared after that.
Mm-hmm.
Your grandfather needs to sit you down and teach you some maturity. And you keep that up, someone's going to take you out hard. Because that was just stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm back.
Okay.
He's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder the last few weeks, I noticed, with young Gibbs. Which I get it. Oh, that's light. Jesus. One of my light panels just blew down, and that's a very bright sun. Wow. All right.
Oh.
I can't see shit. It's like high beams right in my face.
It's like you're looking at Darlington going into turn 3.
It is, because the sun is literally half shaded by a cloud, and it's right there. And even the aluminum around the window is just, we'll just reflect that even more.
Well, see, maybe it's just the racing gods have had enough of you talking about Ty Gibbs.
Apparently, because all I can see is your T-shirt at the moment. So, yeah, that was my rant on Gibbs. Do we have anything else to cover?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah.
Other than your window.
Yeah, apparently. I do need to cover that. And I'm looking at it. You should probably wash it since I got the panel down, because those windows have been covered for 2 years. So, not that I see out the window, so maybe I don't need to wash it. Maybe if I keep it dirty, less light will for the next time, because this will happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note, yeah, headed into Phoenix for the last race of the weekend. And yeah, that should be fun. And then we get to do all of our off-season talks, which involve rumors, innuendos, and maybe we tell some stories from the infield again, which we haven't done in a while.
Maybe even have bring another guest on or something. See
a guest, a second guest, yeah, or maybe we'll just bring back the same guest again.
Oh, you never know.
Just to find out, what did Kyle say? What was the word? What was the word? Because I was almost thinking, we thought it might have been a slur versus a sexual preference, or I don't think it was racial because that would be all over social media.
Yeah.
Right. Or I thought possibly maybe it was anti-religious.
No, I'm thinking I have to, because there's nothing over social media. There's just his regular throwing the F-bomb in the thing.
I can't see it just throwing an F-bomb because there's no precedent for throwing an F-bomb and having to go to training. So
yeah,
I remember you had mentioned, maybe he called somebody a bundle of twigs. A different F-bomb.
Yeah.
So, because that'll land in hot water these days. Right, Mark Knopfler? Right. So, yeah. All right. Well, on that note, that's all we got. If you're new, please like and subscribe. Should have mentioned that 45 minutes ago, but hey.
Probably, yeah.
All right. So tune in next week for NasCanucks. Are we back to an evening show next week?
Back to an evening show next week. Prime time for the championship.
Nice.
Championship talk. We'll have all the news and stuff from Phoenix. Yeah.
Yeah. And because we've been changing around a bit on time, I highly recommend, if you are subscribed, make sure that bell is rung and set to all so you will get notified when we go live.
Yes.
All right.
See you, Marcus.